Okay, so we have our Wyvern. Its origin point I've made at its feet because I just like having the origin point between the feet for taking into games or whatever else. I don't know if this ever will, but here we go. And we want to bring in an armature, so Shift A, going down to armature, clicking on that and starting off with a bone, which I armature viewport and maybe select the in front so we can see through. What I want to do next is once I've got that bone in the same origin point as the Wyvern skin, I'm going to hit Tab to go into edit mode. And I'll drag the bone up to probably where the hips would be. And then I'm going to set up the bones fully straight. So what's happening? This has come off a bit, so I'm going to make sure that it's directly in the line with the red guideline, the x-axis, axes. And I'm going to chuck bones in it like I would normally rig. So what I'm doing is just pressing E to extrude each time. And I realise there's an error in my model now. I can see a stretching that I didn't notice before.
Oh, should be right.
And I'm going to select the last bone that I put in for the head. And I'm going to duplicate that one. The head of this octahedral shape, and now I'm pressing E and I'm working down through the tail. Okay, and we're going to use mirror modifier as well when we start to work on the wing and the legs. Right, it's only got two legs, but working on the wings and the leg bones on one side, and we're going to use mirror modifier and flip them over to the other side. It's always good to name your bones. We could go through and name them afterwards. For now I'm just in front of the chest bone. I'm selecting because this one is the child of the chest bone. I want that. Shift D, I'll duplicate that. That next bone now is also a child of the chest bone. Now that we've duplicated that one. You can assign if it isn't assigned, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And I've changed my mind with the jaw. I don't want it to be a child of the neck bone here. I actually want it to be a child of the skull bone or the head bone here. So I can always go back in and change that relationship to head. So when I move the head, of course the jaw will go with it, and then I can move the jaw independently. Probably should have thought about that the first time around. But anywho, and then neck is, I've got the neck in two parts at the moment. So when I'm working on this side, I'm working on the right side, I'm using .R to say that it's right, so when I flip the names it'll have .L on the other side. But I did notice that someone working on the Patrick typed in right or left and it flipped it as well, so that's good. There we are in the middle there, and I'm changing my pivot point selection to 3D cursor. So when I duplicate, Shift D, duplicated them, and before I move them I'm going to, there should be a flip name somewhere. Flip names, nice, and then, yep, that's working. And now I want to mirror them. So armature, mirror globally on the Y in this case, and my pivot point is in the right place, so with any luck all my armature should be there. Now I have too many names going on there, it's in my face, so I'm going to switch the names off. Select them all so you can see. If you're lucky and you've done everything up to this point, it should look something similar to that. A big chicken. Bone groups. What we do is we will first select the skin or the mesh of the Wyvern, and then hold down the shift so that you can then select the armature, Control P, and it comes up with your options. For this type of thing I like going with automatic weights because you can straight away test to see if things are working, but you still have to go through and do a cleanup. So you get better deformations when you move things around. So I'm going to go with automatic weights. It has done so, so I'm happy with that. And now I'll just select the armature, go to pose mode so I can test to see if it took. And it did, and of course I'm getting this really weird stretch here which looks awful because I'm still have my 3D pivot switched on. So I need to switch that back to median point, and when I rotate that, that's working a bit better. But you can see the influence of that jaw is dragging down part of the top skull, etc. So I need to clean that up. So to do that, I select the mesh. Let me just go back to pose mode here. Object mode here. Select the mesh, and I have my list over on the side here. I have to be in edit mode to do this. Pressing A twice to deselect. And while I'm here, I'm going to clean up the accidental extras I have inside its head. So, obviously when I was making the spikes, there was a section in here that was selected. Which I now have to get rid of. So I've done a bit of a clean up of my mesh. But now I want to select my jaw. So I select the group jaw and press select here, and I can see how much that influence that jaw has, which is way too much. So I really want it to influence from about here, just the jaw section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these at the moment, and I'll press H to hide. So that should make it easy for me to do the rest. Go to wireframe as well. Alright, now old tapes are bringing back everything that's hidden, all of that stuff there. And this along here, I want to remove from that group. So I just hit remove over here. Now if I select again, with any luck, it's mostly worked. Now when I sign, these, and I'm just going to check my teeth. Not all my teeth have been assigned to that jaw, and I want all the bottom ones. I'll just hide that and make it easier. Back, and then hit assign. So now with any luck, if I test the jaw, it's working better. I'm still getting some lip movement, which is quite funny. So check what's going on there. Select again, I'm going to put it in the face mode, so I'll check edge. And I can see there's an edge up here that was connected to it. So this might seem a bit of a tedious process doing the clean-up and assigning, but
once it's done, it's done.
well, that's right. It's definitely worth it because you spend more time doing your prep in your rigging when it goes to your animation, and then becomes easy from then on out. So if you're working in a bigger company and you're just the rigger, not the animator but the rigger, your animator's going to love you for doing this job properly. Makes their job easier, and then they can. But seeing as we live in a very indie sort of environment for our industry, you will probably be doing the rigging and the animating, so make your life easier and do this properly. Yeah. It's easy to become lazy and say, I'll work around it. But it is much more worth it. Wyvern. Alright, so at the moment you guys have seen the display of the octahedral shape. I'm going to change that. I'm not sure if it, yes it does matter. Alright, so over here I've got a neck which is going to turn into a bendy bone. Not that that really matters too much. This neck bone here matters more, but I'm going to do both anyway. I'm going to change the octahedral shape to big bone. As you can see, it now looks very boxy. And now I'm going to go to the bone shape here, and you can see straight across from that it has the bendy bone option. So I'm going to give just this one 2 segments because this is a short section. Then I'm going to select the part of the neck that's near the chest, and maybe I'll give that one 3. And I will do the tail as well. So this section of the tail is only a small section, so maybe I'll do 2 segments. This one could even go as far as 4. Bendy bones has a lot more movement, but it works a lot better with inverse kinematic. But you can already see just by grabbing it and rotating it, it has a lot more elasticity, but I need to put in inverse kinematics on some things. So like this head bone here on an inverse kinematic. I did it this morning in the new Blender shell, and I've got to remember how I put it all together again now. I'm going to do it without targets. We did that this morning. Alright, so I've just selected the head bone and put an inverse kinematics on it. So now I can select that bone and hit G to grab, and as you can see what it does is it allows you just to move one bone to go through the whole form to where its base point is. Now you should be able to adjust it.
Yeah, under the bone with the spanner.
No.
You gotta make it.
Right, so it's chain link. Now I'm not using at this point pole targets or anything like that. When you start working on human forms, you use pole targets, which are things that float outside elbows and knees,
Yes.
so that the orientation of your leg is always pointing towards the pole target. In this case, I'm not going to bother with pole targets. This is, you can always do advanced stuff later. This one, I may not want this inverse kinematics to go through the whole form, so when I pull the head back, the feet come up. That's probably not ideal. So what I'm going to do is adjust the chain length. So the chain length is how many bones it affects on the way through. So I've gone all the way through the chest. So if I move that, if I move the head up like that, that works particularly well. I probably should have had a ab bone in there as well, but I went straight from, because I was going to bendy bone that. Actually, I will bendy bone that. So going back to the bone constraints, for the chest, I will still, where are you bendy bones? I'll give that probably 2 as well and see what that looks like. Yeah, that works a lot better. But as you can see, you get a bit more of a sinuousy sort of effect. It looks pretty good like that. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with the I'm selecting all the bones and pressing Alt R to clear the rotation, Alt G to clear the grabbing, just so I can go back to how it was as stock. I'm going for the tip of the tail and I'm hitting Shift I, as we've established is the add the IK, which is inverse kinematics. I'm doing this one without targets as well, so now it's on the tip of the tail, so now I can just grab that one bone and get that sinuousy look. So that's going to be really easy when it comes to animating, especially if you do the shape controllers as well. Attached to, as we did last week, attached to the inverse kinematics, and your animation is going to look a lot more natural. Especially with something like this with bendy bones.
As natural as they can be, isn't that right, Michaela?
So that's working rather well. I like that. Might do an animation for that. So where else could I perhaps chuck an inverse kinematic?
Tips of the wings.
Tips the wings is a good choice. Yes, I've done that before and it's worked really well. The feet also would be a nice place to chuck an inverse kinematics. Now, at the moment, we are just dealing with the bones that are already in there. Another technique you can use with inverse kinematics is you can create another bone specifically for controlling that movement of that limb. So at the base of the foot, I might draw out another bone, put inverse kinematics on that, which controls the whole foot movement. Makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to do the same thing with the wing, maybe chuck an inverse kinematics on certain points, like the tips here. This would work quite well. And as I said, the feet. So shift I, once again without targets, and so as you can see, that's way too much.
Yeah.
So I have to adjust what?
The chain link.
Excellent, the chain link. A rigged and hand-painted, let's get it right, Wyvern. And we're going to set it into a cave and we're going to create it breathing fire. That should be fun. Right, so Shift S, I'm going to go Shift S first because I notice my cursor is floating up in the dragon somewhere. I want to move my cursor to World Origin. So that when I do Shift A, press Shift A, bringing in a plane, it should be close enough to the Wyvern's feet. And then I'm going to scale it 50. Let's go scale 50. Alrighty. So plane at the feet, scale 50. Alright, now I want to chuck a material on this plane. It's going to say new. And with the base colour, I actually have some rock textures that I will use. If you don't have those textures, remember you can go to where? Texture.com, got plenty, you've got accounts. Alright. Right, I'll grab one that I've had earlier. I might go for rock 4 because I've already got a bump and a spec map for that. So I'll go to rock 4 on mine, open, subdivide. I might go 100 to start off with just to see how many that does. Come on, I need to do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to vertex mode and I'm going to modulate the ground a little bit because it's just a bit too flat for a cave. So I'm selecting a vertex. I'm going to switch on the proportional editor and I'm going to go to random and then just going to move some points around a bit so we get a bit of variation.
Did you subdivide it?
I subdivided it 100 times.
Oh, 100.
Well, yes, I did.
Oh.
Might wait till I start chucking in the effect. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to go to UV editing So I can select that plane now. I select it over here and I'm just going to scale it up. So that the rock textures are a little bit tighter and more compact. And I can go for shading for that one as well because I do have a few maps. If you go to texture.com, you can come up with ones that have bump maps and all that sort of stuff as well. I'm going to add a bump map to this. Whoops. Just one of the ones selected. Sorry, normal map, I should say. That's already made the ground look a bit chunkier. To add to the cave look. So Shift A, I might bring in a icosphere and then go to edit mode. I do have proportional editing on. And that looks horrible, so I'm going to take the randomness off and go to maybe smooth so I can stretch out certain bits. They'll teach me for not looking at the camera earlier. Alright, so what have we done? We've created a circle which is emitting particles that's parented to the skull bone armature. We created a quick effect on that, so it would create a domain for smoke. Yeah, pose mode for a sec. A domain for smoke. I switched on adaptive. We're going to switch on high resolution on that later. We're going to just keep it low for now so we can work with it. The circle itself is a flow type, and I made the flow type fire. Alright, there's smoke and fire that could be used, but it actually works better as fire for this particular exercise. We use volumetrics to create a bit of smoke. And everything's parented together, so once we go into pose mode, and the dragon, everything moves with, or Wyvern I should say. The argument keeps going on. So what I'm going to do now is, I know that at frame 100 I've got the particles start. So I want the dragon, the Wyvern, to get in a position where it will start to breathe. You've done what? You've chucked coins in. Gold coins are very good. Alrighty. Zach, of course, is doing something completely different from everyone else. He's got his dragon spitting out gold coins.
No.
But that's because
I'm Zach. The ass.
Zach's doing it different.
Zach.
Alright, so what I'm going to do at frame 0 is I'm going to keep that posture. I don't need to change that posture. I think that's fine for what I want. I pressed A to select all the bones. It's in pose mode. I'm going to press I and choose from the insert keyframe lock rot. And the chest bone, I might actually press I. So that when we play through the particles, with any luck they'll be colliding with some of these objects and having some bounce back. To do that, I'll finish off my movements.